Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. Okay, so the week is over and don't have to go to the 9 to 5 today or 8 to 5 or 7 to 6 or whatever it is. Yeah, it's time to do all the other stuff, the other job you have. So, all right, let's start this one off today. Can we finally all agree that the U.S. government is completely illegitimate? I think yesterday pretty much proved it all. If you guys saw this, Jack Smith, the prosecutor in the latest Trump indictment, is now trying to get a court order to restrict Donald Trump from seeing any of the documents that they are using in his prosecution. In other words, prohibiting him from making a defense, unless he has an attorney with him with high enough security clearance to view the documents that they are using as evidence against him. For those of you guys who have security clearances, you know those aren't, 20 minutes later, okay, you've got a security clearance, right? So they are trying to hinder him in making his own defense. Why are they doing something like this? Well, if they can say that Donald Trump is a security risk, this is just another way that they are trying to prevent him from running for the White House. How can you possibly have a president who is not eligible to see national security documents unless he has an attorney present? That kind of a little difficult to do the job. Hey, you're a mechanic fixing my car. We're not going to give you any tools, but do it. Okay, it's basically the same idea. But it brings into the point of national security and where I say, are we completely illegitimate? If you go back 60 years, let's go back to JFK, all right, and why the Washington elite hated JFK, why the CIA had to get rid of JFK, right? Okay. Because JFK was the same way. He would not kowtow to the swamp. Yeah, the swamp's been around that long, guys. If you think about the United States before JFK, the CIA didn't exist. The Pentagon didn't exist. Okay, we weren't a national security state. Everything around the world wasn't, the United States had a military that was big enough to defend the borders of the United States. We didn't have overseas military bases and all this sort of stuff. Half our military be stationed in foreign lands. It was a defense force to protect the borders of the United States and protect us from going to war. But the swamp wanted to make money. The elite oligarchs in the United States wanted to get richer. So they fabricated a war, Cold War, with Russia. Not that Russia was exactly a shining city on a hill, to use Reagan's term. I mean, you go back to Stalin and killing his own people and the Holodomor and all this sort of stuff. But they had the mentality of the government at the time was, we have to have a war. Russia and the United States can never live in conjunction. Okay, we can't occupy the same planet together ever. And so we need to build up a military complex. We need to spy on each other, etc. And so is born the deep state, the military intelligence, the U.S. intelligence realm. That was it. Everything. It was Russia, Russia, Russia. Does any of this sound familiar? Okay. Kennedy didn't want to do that. Kennedy wanted to live in harmony with Russia. He wanted to have a simpatico world, kind of like Trump did. Okay. And the deep state did not want that to happen because, hey, if we can have the military-industrial complex ramping up using all this money to buy more military equipment in the idea of defense of the United States, we can make money at it. Does any of this sound familiar? This is all of what's going on. So now Trump is in the same boat as Kennedy. But assassinations of presidents is not quite as easy as it was in the 1960s, especially considering how outspoken and how totally fine Trump is about being seen in the public eye. Kennedy was a little more reserved, okay? Kennedy didn't spend as much time glad-handing with the public as Trump does. So they've got to do an assassination of a different way. So they are doing a character assassination of him, right? We're going to try to completely impugn his credibility as a person, as a potential leader, anything of the sort. You know, we need to get rid of this guy at all costs. It's the exact same thing because he's standing in the way. He doesn't want to go to war with China. He doesn't want to go to war with Russia. He doesn't want to go to war with North Korea. Oh my God, we can't have that. That's going to cut into the millions and millions and millions of dollars that each congressperson, each senator makes off of their investments. Hello, Nancy Pelosi, in the defense industry or whatever. You know, it's going to slow down the money that's coming in from donors that, oh my God, we've got to have a war somewhere. I mean, let's think of Dick Cheney, you know, weapons, you know, George Bush, weapons of mass destruction, right? Let's go into a 20-year war in the Middle East over planes that hit the World Trade Center or landed in Pennsylvania or supposedly hit the Pentagon. Let's talk about that, and let's go to war against Iraq, who had nothing to do with it, okay? But we need to have a war. We need to make money somehow. Somehow, oh my God, I just lost all my money in the stock market because the stock market crashed after 9/11. Well, gee, if I can make some money, let's create some fake war, and I'll make money back because the stocks will go back up because all of a sudden we're using government money, tax money, to boost my investments. Are we illegitimate? Yes, because of all of those things that the politicians all are only looking out for their own best interest. They don't care what their constituents say whatsoever, save maybe about 40 people in Washington. Some of the newer Congress people actually are going to Washington with the right ideas. I'm going to be the voice of my district, my state, whatever, my constituency. That'll change. They'll eventually get swept into the corruption that is the deep state. So we have 535 people, 435 reps and 100 senators, who eventually will become part of the deep state. If they're not now, they eventually will. And they will be just another illegitimate oligarch on the side, which means you have no voice. Remember the last time the people had no voice? It was in the late 1700s when the British Crown was taxing the American colonists for their tea. People didn't like that so much because they had to pay the taxes to pay for the empire, the British Empire's expansion around the world, but they didn't have any say in the matter. They didn't have any representation in the British Parliament whatsoever. They got to pay for all the folly that the Crown wanted, but they didn't get to say what they wanted. You know, you're using our tax money. Gee, why don't we see if we can improve the roads, improve the ports, protect us from the French or the Indians or whatever. Nah, that wasn't important. We're just going to give you our tax money so you can go out and increase your trade routes to India or expand into Northern Africa or whatever. And the people said, no, we don't want to do this. We don't have any say in the matter. Oh, that tea of yours made for a real big cup of iced tea. Okay, there's no sugar in it when it was in Boston Harbor. That's what's going to happen next. And I've said many times, it's not going to be blue against red. We're not all going to put on a red shirt or a blue shirt for a couple of you that may be on the other side and say, okay, you're my enemy. You can't walk down the street for the most part, unless you find somebody that's got green hair, nose rings, and tattoos below their eyes that, is a liberal. Don't see a whole lot of Biden hats out there or Biden shirts on people walking down the street, do you? Okay, so you're not going to know who the other side is. What you are going to see, and this is where I still think it happens, is you're white, they're black, they're Hispanic, they're Asian, whatever, they're Martian, I don't care, they're Arabic, pick something, okay? They're not the same as you. And that's where the war is going to happen. Because the preconceived notion that is being put in all of our heads by the illegitimate government that we have, Whitey's bad, right? They're trying to, the politicians, the elite oligarchs, the 535 plus the two morons in the White House, okay, are trying to stoke all of this. This is what they are doing. They are trying to start a war amongst the people. Do not fool yourself whatsoever that all this racial tension and everything, divide, divide, divide. Again, go read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Okay, this is one of the tenets of it, is to divide the country based on race. And they are succeeding. They are making people, doesn't matter if you've been friends for years. You're Hispanic? You're black? You're white? I can't associate with you anymore. You're not one of us. And the last time I checked, where did I do it? There we go. Cut my finger. I bleed red, just like everybody else in this country. We're all the same. Most of us have enough common sense to think the government's not looking out for my best interest. They're only looking out for their own. This is what's coming, guys, okay? Our government does not represent us at all. We say all the time, we're a constitutional republic. We're a representative democracy. They want to protect democracy. We hear the liberals that they don't understand our system of government. We're a democracy. No, we're not. Okay, we're a representative democracy. But who the hell are they representing? They're representing themselves. That is it. 535 people plus two morons have all the power, and 335 million people have none. The odds, the numbers, their strength in numbers are on our side. The problem is we just don't get together to do anything about it. Yeah, Joe can say he's got nuclear weapons and F-16s. Go ahead, Joe. Start the fight. I dare you. You will lose. That I can promise you. Pinball out.